The story starts with Damian, a football coach, waking up blindfolded and realizing he's been tied to a bed. He screams for help, but his captor pulls out a knife as if threatening to end his life. Oh, I thought this was dominatrix corn. A few minutes earlier, he had been drinking at a house party, and after getting intoxicated, a blonde woman lured him inside. A couple of months later, Aaron, the producer of the reality show Trophy Wives, pushes for more drama while interviewing Mecca. I'm living for Mecca's overall look, she foin. When he touches on a sensitive subject about Mecca's difficulties bearing children, Damian asks Trish, their manager, to step in and pull back. But Trish says it makes for good television, so her husband steps in to save her. Later that evening, Mecca has a drink with Sammy and tells her about what happened, saying she doesn't want her kitty issues to go public. Sammy reminds her not to blame Aaron since he was just doing his job. She suggests adoption since IVF had already failed, but Mecca insists she still wants to carry her own baby. The next day, while having murky weed water, Mecca receives a strange call from an unknown number and hears a baby crying in the background. She dismisses it. Later, while she's watching one of Aaron's reality shows, Trish comes over with a serious tone, trying to soften the blow by calming her down. Before Trish can say what's wrong, Damian runs in to stop her. They argue back and forth until Trish finally reveals that Damian has been sued for child support. At first, Mecca thinks they're joking, but her expression changes when Damian says he'd never cream pie another woman. Mecca wants to test Angela, the so-called baby mama, to see if the child is Damian's. Shortly after, they meet in court and see Angela, pregnant. Angela looking like Marlon Wayans in White Chicks. She reassures them she's willing to carry out the DNA test. After the meeting, Mecca vents to Sammy, frustrated about what happened. She tells her that Damian cheated, but Sammy finds it hard to believe because Damian is punching above his weight. Still troubled, Mecca feels crushed that Angela can give Damian the one thing she can't. They don't realize it, but someone has been listening and watching them. Meanwhile, Damian talks to Jalen, one of his players he coaches, about Angela and the child support case. Damian says he'd never cheat if he was sober. Jalen wonders how Mecca will cope with it all. Days later, the couple returns to court with Angela for the test results. To Damian's shock, he learns he is indeed the father. As soon as Mecca sees the papers, Angela tries to convince her to co-parent, but Mecca angrily storms out. Damian follows, trying to offer solutions, but Mecca lashes out, blames him for cheating, and declares she's done with their relationship. When Damian gets home, he finds Mecca's wedding ring on the counter. Girl, I would have sold that for money. He calls her, but she doesn't pick up. Instead, she goes to a bar to drink. Trish finds her there and urges her to stick with Damian, warning her that Aaron is looking to exploit their family drama. When Mecca refuses to budge, Trish offers to protect her from the press by spinning the story, portraying Mecca as a strong, independent woman while painting Damian as a monster. But Mecca doesn't agree with this. That night, she returns home. Damian thanks her for coming back and finally explains himself. He swears he doesn't know Angela, though her face looks vaguely familiar. He admits there was one night after drinking heavily at a party when he blacked out and woke up in a hotel room. Y'all, that's grape. Heartbroken, Mecca asks if he'll accept the child. Damian says he wouldn't be the man she loves if he abandoned his own. Mecca tells him not to have Angela around the house and asks for time to process everything. After the couple somewhat patches things up, Damian attends the baby's ultrasound scan. Later that afternoon, Angela shows up at their home, gifting Mecca a framed sonogram and trying to convince her to be friends. I just know Angela fake AF. Angela promises she didn't know Damian was rich or was married. Cap. Meanwhile, Damian subtly recalls a blonde dragging him into a room during a party. Later, Jalen shows up, and after they converse for a bit, Damian invites him to a luncheon. Later that night, Mecca tells Damian about Angela visiting her. She explains how Angela crossed boundaries, but doesn't know how to cross her legs. Mecca wonders how she even got their address, but Damian reminds her that the situation is hard on him too. As they argue, Angela watches them through the hidden camera in the framed sonogram. While Mecca walks inside, Damian recalls the same blonde at the party. Angela later shows up at the luncheon and casually speaks to Trish and Mecca. Even after being told it's a business-oriented event, she keeps rambling and prying to know more about Mecca. Trish then spots Aaron nearby, and to keep him from learning too much, she whisks Angela away under the pretense of connecting her with a stylist. Aaron approaches Mecca and asks about the new face he saw leaving with Trish. Mecca lies about Angela's identity. They talk, and Aaron warns her that she risks being replaced on the show since she doesn't have an engaging storyline. Feeling pressured, Mecca drops a half-lie, saying she suspects Damian of cheating. Intrigued, Aaron presses her to share more. Later, Trish does a background check on Angela. While at it, she notices an intruder in her house, so she grabs a spatula. For protection? She searches around but can't find anyone, so she returns to her tea and continues digging. After taking a sip, she suddenly coughs violently and collapses. Moments later, Angela shows up to confirm Trish is gone. At another party, Mecca meets with Sammy and wonders why she hasn't been able to reach Trish. Angela also shows up and immediately starts going on about baby things, even telling Sammy her plans to co-parent with Mecca. Trying to stay composed, Mecca makes excuses and then confides in Sammy about how she slipped up and told Aaron more than she should have. Rightfully, Sammy advises her to make sure Damian is aware of everything going on. Out of the corner of her eye, Mecca spots Tara, one of the reality show's hosts, and goes to greet her. Watching from a distance, Sammy notices Angela looking rattled and uncomfortable. Aaron then shows up and asks Mecca to reveal the baby mama. She admits she hasn't confronted Damian yet. He shifts gears, turning the moment into an interview, and has her filmed. Coincidentally, Damian and Jalen arrive. Sammy signals Damian to step in and help Mecca, and after he leaves, she tries to show Angela to Jalen, but realizes the gardening tool has disappeared. After the interview, Damian walks into the house and finds Angela crying in the living room. When he asks what's wrong, she blames it on her pregnancy hormones. She shares the little backstory on how they met. Apparently, Damian got really drunk and they took the party back to a hotel. The trifler starts getting touchy with him. Although uncomfortable, Damian offers to book her a cab, but she insists he drive her home. As they leave together, Mecca spots them but holds her composure since Aaron is still nearby watching. Later that evening, Mecca lashes out at Damian for leaving the luncheon with Angela, but the two eventually make up and he starts to cream pie her. Unfortunately, Angela interrupts with an emergency call, so Damian rushes to her place to take her to the doctor. To Mecca's shock, they return to his house with Angela's belongings. Confused, Mecca demands answers, and Damian explains that Angela will be staying with them until the baby arrives. At first, Mecca refuses, but after Damian adamantly insists, she reluctantly agrees. As days pass, Mecca keeps trying to contact Trish but gets no response, and she still doesn't contact the cops. Meanwhile, Angela keeps crossing boundaries and getting closer to Damian. Eventually, Mecca confronts her, saying this isn't a sister-wives ordeal. Angela says she's not the one who's infertile. "I'm ready to slap mayonnaise, Mary." Deeply hurt, Mecca tells Damian about the confrontation and questions how Angela even knows about her infertility. Equally shocked, Damian offers to take Mecca on a trip to Cabo to make her feel special again. On the day of the trip, Mecca's passport mysteriously goes missing, so she heads to Trish's place to have her file new paperwork. After getting no response, she lets herself in with a spare key, only to find Trish lying dead on the floor. "I'm surprised she's not fully decomposed considering how long it took you to find her." Horrified, she immediately calls Damian to report it, and their trip is canceled. Grieving, she goes upstairs and mourns the loss of her friend. In the process, Mecca goes into a fit and throws her pillow at the sonogram frame. It crashes to the ground, and when she picks it up, she discovers a hidden camera inside. At first, she plans to confront Angela about it, but when she overhears Angela talking with Damian, and both agree that Mecca hasn't been thinking straight lately due to Trish's death, she heads back upstairs and decides to do her own digging. One day, she calls a nanny service to check Angela's story about having worked for them, but learns there's no record of her. Alarmed, Mecca contacts Joss, their lawyer, who tells her that Trish had already hired a private investigator to look into Angela, and the findings must have been sent to Trish's email. Barely holding it together, Mecca meets with Sammy and shows her the hidden camera. She also explains the lies she uncovered about Angela. Mecca insists she needs airtight proof before calling the police, which is why she needs Sammy's help to access Trish's email. Meanwhile, Aaron pays Damian a visit, looking for a scoop on the cheating story. Shocked, Damian asks where he got such information, and Aaron casually admits it came from Mecca. Furious, Damian orders the curdled milk out of his office. Later that day, Mecca invites Sammy over. Together, they hack into Trish's Gmail. At first, they don't find anything, but eventually discover the investigator's email in the trash folder. That's when they realize Trish's death wasn't an accident, since the perpetrator must have accessed her inbox and tried to erase the evidence. As they go through the investigator's report, Mecca finds disturbing details about Angela. Meanwhile, in the locker room, Damian learns from one of his assistants that she was the one who put him to bed after he blacked out at a party. Recalling that night, Damian begins to question who Angela really is. Mecca calls a hospital and learns Angela was once fired for digging into patients' records. Just then, she notices Angela spying on them through the window and immediately senses danger. The caucasity of this hoe. Moments later, she sees Sammy out the door, but refuses to crash at Sammy's place, choosing to face the threat at home instead. At the same time, Damian tries to call Mecca, but her phone won't connect. Suddenly, a story about him and Angela leaks online. To his shock, Jalen storms into his office and reveals that Angela was his crazy ex from Vegas, the one who stole his watch. This is getting twisted. As they prepare to leave together, Jalen is attacked by a hooded figure who knocks him out cold. Damian rushes over to find him lying unconscious. Meanwhile, Mecca gathers her evidence to show Damian, but Angela shows up with a gun. She orders Mecca to drink poison to make it look like suicide, but Mecca refuses, declaring she never trusted her from the start. Angela shoots Mecca in the arm, but Mecca manages to shove her aside and tries to escape. To her shock, she runs into Aaron, only to discover he's working with Angela. Aaron admits he plans to boost his career by exploiting the drama for a top scoop. Of course, it's two plain white crackers. Disgusted, Mecca confronts him, revealing that Angela had broken into the IVF facility and turkey basted herself with Damian's white juice. Angela says Damian convinced Jalen to break up with her when she was pregnant, so she wanted her revenge against Damian. She initially wanted to seduce him at the party, but Damian wasn't interested in the white chick. Angela hopes to take over Mecca's spot on the TV show Trophy Wives, so she tells Aaron to shoot her. When Aaron tries to shoot Mecca, she hurls a vase at him, knocking him to the ground. As she reaches for his gun, Aaron grabs her by the throat. Desperate, she seizes a shard of glass and slashes his neck. The milk has now expired. She then rushes for the gun and points it at Angela. To her shock, Angela grabs a piece of glass and threatens to harm her own baby. This hoe insane. Suddenly, her water breaks, and at that moment, paramedics arrive. Angela is taken away, and Damian shows up, relieved that their nightmare is finally over. When Mecca tells Damian everything, Damian is confused of all Angela's lies because he told Jalen to break up with his girlfriend when his Rolex went missing after Angela skipped town. A year later, the couple is raising Angela's baby in their custody. Mecca receives a call from Joss, reminding her to prepare a victim impact statement ahead of Angela's sentencing. Later, while opening a birthday card addressed to the child, Mecca is shaken to discover it's from Angela, promising she'll see the child soon. And that's the end of the movie. I wonder if they're going to make a part 2. So many twists and red herrings in this one. What did you guys think?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you like to watch more foolishness, click here or here.